It is difficult to imagine the feelings of unfairness that people must feel at being infected with something like hepatitis C or HIV as a result of a totally unrelated treatment within the NHS. And to each and every one of those people, I would like to say sorry on behalf of the government for something that should not have happened. No amount of money can ever fully make up for what did happen. I can confirm today the government will provide up to £25 million in 2015-16, but it's vital we move as soon as possible, and I commit that if I'm Prime Minister in May, we will respond to the findings of this report as a matter of priority.
We now come to the statement on the infected blood, reform of financial and other support. I now call the Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State, Jane Ellison.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. I recognise that for some this will come too late. I can't write the pain and distress of 30 years. And the truth is that no amount of money could ever make up for the impact this tragedy has had on people's lives. For legal reasons, I should be clear that in the majority of cases it is not appropriate to talk about compensation payments. It is not appropriate to talk about compensation payments. I have made that point before. Mr Deputy Speaker, I would like to echo what has been said before in this House and say sorry on behalf of the Government to every person affected by this tragedy. And for this reason I can announce today that the Department of Health has identified £100 million from its budget. This is in addition to the current spend and the £25 million already announced in March 2015. Mr Deputy Speaker, the consultation is now open, and it is my hope that all those affected by this tragedy will respond.
I'm sat with Mr Andy Jacobs for the second time. Lost the first one. But Andy, would you like to just run us through the story?
Yeah, well, I'm Andy Jacobs. I'm 47-ish, something like that. I was born with von Willebrand's disease, which is a sort of related disorder to haemophilia. It means my blood doesn't clot, but I don't bleed into the joints. When I was 13, I had my appendix out, and one of the clotting agents that they gave me at the time just happened to be infected with hepatitis C, because the government, despite numerous warnings, had brought in blood products from all sorts of nasty individuals in the States. So I found out when I was about 27, I suppose, that I had hepatitis C.
So it's about 14?
Yeah.
14 years.
And then since then I've been diagnosed with cirrhosis, and now I'm just sort of like waiting for the government to decide what they're going to do in terms of funding the treatment. This is the other total injustice where where the government are now saying that they're not going to fund treatment. They will if you've got cirrhosis or cancer of the liver, but then you're sort of like the clock's ticking down anyway. All the people that they could avoid going down that route, they're the ones that need treating as much as the ones that are desperately ill already.
I know you just explained how you got the blood, but how come it ended up with the NHS? How it was covered up?
Well, we were short of blood supplies in the UK, so we were buying in blood products from the States. In the States, they pay people to donate blood. So you get drug addicts and homeless people and They take it from prisoners in jail, all sorts of very, very high-risk individuals.
Yeah.
What happened is the government knew that the products they were buying were infected with various viruses. HIV, Hep C.
They knew.
They knew. They absolutely knew.
Internal documents show that after this company positively, absolutely knew that they had a medication that was infected with the AIDS virus, they took the product off the market in the U.S. and then they dumped it in France, Europe, Asia, and Latin America.
So there's no arguing that it's credible. They knowingly infected people.
Yeah, we've got letters, and they're in the public domain because they're available under the Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah.
Albeit the names have been crossed out with a black marker pen, so you can't actually see who wrote the letter or who received it, so it's impossible to follow anything up. But these are publicly available documents that
so
state...
there's no covering it up.
No, there's no doubt. The government can't deny it because it exists in black and white. I'm sort of paraphrasing but quoting as closely as I can. One of the letters says it is important that we test levels of infectivity in human patients. So what they're saying is we've got this stuff, we're not sure quite how infectious it is, so let's put it into humans and see what it does. And then it goes on to say it is possible to test levels of infectivity with fairly small groups of individuals. In my case, and there are lots of other cases like this, but I can only speak specifically about mine. I didn't need what they gave me to save my life. It wasn't a case of this guy's going to bleed to death, we'll have to risk it. I didn't need that. I've never had it in the past, and I've never had it since.
So you should have had what you always had?
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't have had.
So you were the guinea pig?
Yeah. We were all guinea pigs. In the haemophilia community particularly, we were all guinea pigs. Historically, what they'd done was they'd tested it on chimpanzees. And chimpanzees at the time were about 10,000 quid a time. So they knew that they could put this stuff in.
Waste 10 grand on a chimp to put it in people.
They put it into people instead.
The medicine's called Factor VIII. It was an injection medicine that was used for hemophiliacs, mostly children. Children had been born with an incurable disease.
Hold on, Mike. So, hold on.
Targeted fairly young hemophiliacs. They used to call them virgin hemophiliacs because it was a group of people that were at very, very low risk from getting hepatitis C from any other source. And also, in my case, what they wanted to demonstrate was that when there's two ways they can get blood products. You've got a blood product called cryoprecipitate, which is what I was always given, and that's all I ever needed. That is taken from a very, very small batch of people. And then you've got what they call large pool concentrates, where they'll take blood from 100 people and mix it up. And it only takes a tiny, tiny fraction of that to be infected, and the whole batch is infected. So, despite never needing it since and never needing it before that, I was actually given Factor VIII, which was a large pool concentrate. And the government this is what they wanted to do, was test how infectious large pool concentrates were. So they decided, someone up the line decided, we'll use it in people that are at low risk. So we'll know if Andy gets infected, there's only one place he could have got that from, and that's the blood that we put into him.
By the way, Joe, government officials in France that allowed that to happen actually had to go to prison for it. In America, not one corporate executive for this company has been indicted or even criminally investigated by our Justice Department.
Why not?
So consequently, 5,000 haemophiliacs got it, 2,000 have died, and continue to die. It was terrible. I mean, there's a school for haemophiliacs, Lord Mayor Trelaw's College in Alton, and I was reading the other day that after they all got tested, they marched them into the nurse's office, 5 at a time. Said, "Yeah, you've got it." This was HIV at the time.
Oh dear.
You've got it, you've got it, you've got it, you haven't, you haven't. And this was a death sentence for them. Absolute death sentence. They were told at the time that they had probably had 2 years to live. These were 13-year-old, 14-year-old kids told they had 2 years to live. So not only has it affected them psychologically from that point of view, these people, a lot of them just sort of like decided, well, what's the point in me getting a career? So the decisions they made based on the fact they only had 2 years to live have affected their whole lives, even though the drugs have improved and now a lot of them have their HIV under control, but they're still carrying the burden from that.
Of course,
and you can't turn back the clock and decide to start your life
It is
all over
difficult
again.
to imagine the feelings of unfairness that people must feel at being infected with something like hepatitis C or HIV as a result of a totally unrelated treatment.
Is it 1 a month, Dash?
That's what they reckon.
1 a month, so right. It was 2,000 offers.
Yeah.
So it won't be that long.
But what's happened, because of the genotypes of hepatitis, this is only a theory of mine. I think a lot of people died within the first few years. Then it's slowed down and probably averaged out at 1 a month. But now everyone's had it so long, there's going to be a pocket of people that, like me, are starting to get cirrhosis and liver cancer, and I think it's going to increase over the next few years. It'll be much, much more than 1 a month, because everyone who has got
the snowball. Being told I'm going to have to see a doctor every 6 months for the rest of my life. And the way they're talking, it won't be that often by the look of it. Right. So, and I know it's progressing. I can feel it. I get these really strange sensations now where my liver, there's no pain, because I found out there's no nerves there. But horrible sickly feeling all the time, what I never had. 5 teeth have gone in the last year. My hair's dropped, all sorts. I know it's progressing, I can tell. Now, see, and this is it, this forgetfulness, I lose the plot of it.
The brain fog.
Terrible.
I mean, and this is the other thing that the government need to recognise is what they call extrahepatic manifestations. So, hepatitis, although it infers that it's a disease of the liver, and that is one of the symptoms, there are all sorts of other things. There's fibromyalgia, there's diabetes, I've got type 2 diabetes, there's eyesight problems, there's the problem with teeth, I've lost teeth. Just woken up in the night and gone, what's that? And there's a tooth gone. So it affects every part of your life. The brain fog, the days when you wake up in the morning, you don't know what your name is, what day of the week it is.
When you were telling me all this that first time round, I'm sick I lost it, because I was honestly shocked, and glad I got the chance to meet you again. But the things then people went through,
awful stuff. I mean, whole families were devastated. There's one family where I know, I think there's 4 brothers and a sister in the same family. 3 of them have died of either HIV or Hep C. The father died of HIV. The children were then separated and put into care. Didn't see each other for 10 years. They weren't allowed to see their father after he died. He was basically zipped up in a body bag and disappeared.
That's shocking.
And another family, their son was 7, I think. 7, and was when he died was the same weight as a 18-month-old baby. And they had
What you're telling me that these people that dumped this AIDS-tainted blood in foreign countries, who killed children, have not been taken to task?
So how are you supposed to compensate that? There's
very difficult.
There's no compensating that.
And to each and every one of those people, I would like to say sorry on behalf of the government for...
And it is only right that we're compensated. Money can't buy back the people that have died, but the widows of the people who have died have received nothing.
Of course,
and they should be compensated.
That's what I mean.
And these people are suffering financially. They're suffering from their health.
Well, if you can't work, I mean...
Yeah.
They yanked it from the market in America, and then they dumped it in markets overseas.
They had to figure out a way, Joe, to make a profit on a product that they could not sell in America. So they made a huge profit. They jumped.
We've had like very, very small amounts of compensation and bits and bobs of, or no, not compensation, ex gratia payments, because they won't call it that.
Charity, arms.
They've had a couple of inquiries which have led to nothing. The last one being Penrose, which only really covered Scotland, but because it was pre-devolution, it had an impact on the whole country. You've got Lord Penrose's inquiry, cost £12 million. Some people say 20 million, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. £12 million, 1,800 pages in this report, 6 years, and the only recommendation that they made was that people who'd had blood products in the past who thought they were at risk should get tested. I think the recommendation was 35 words.
And it cost 12 to 20, and like you could tell me that in 2 minutes for that.
Absolutely, yeah. I would have done that for $1 million. Saved them 6 years and £11 million, and I would have been a happy man. The service which gets our blood products has already been sold to a profit-making organisation in the States for £200 million.
So that doesn't bode well for the future for this happening again.
They will never ever learn lessons, not unless someone is called to action or called to account.
Been looking more and more into it, and the amount of MPs and Lords who stand to make money out of selling the NHS.
Government, we've had a Conservative government, we've had a coalition government, now we've got another Conservative government. They're all as bad as each other in terms of party politics. You know, they all promise to do things. We've got David Cameron standing up in the House of Commons and apologising. Interesting though, he didn't apologise for what they did, he apologised for what happened. So they haven't actually, that's like, you know, if you fell over this morning, I could say, oh, I'm sorry you fell over this morning. But it's completely different to saying, I'm sorry I pushed you over this morning. And this is the tricks that the government play.
And to each and every one of those people, I would like
David
to say
Cameron
sorry.
Had the will to sort this out, he could do it tomorrow.
I'll stroke of a pen.
Yeah. And by the end of the week, we'd be sorted. But there is no will to sort this out.
Amazed at what you have accomplished and what you have done, and I take my hat off to you for it. Because now I am becoming a bit more aware. I can see how they buried this and tried to hide it. And then, you know, we've talked about it, scapegoat, divide and conquer. I'm amazed you got so far with it.
We joined the peaceful protest for the Contaminated Blood campaign outside David Cameron's constituency office to call on the Prime Minister to finally address this issue. These are some of those interviews.
I'm here today with Dave Ledbetter from the Contaminated Blood campaign. Now, Dave, obviously we're outside David Cameron's constituency office in Witney. Why are you here today?
I had factor VIII treatment, and I had a health visitor knock on my door one day and say, oh, we need to do a blood test, we think we might give you AIDS.
This is Glenn Wilkinson, the founding member of the Contaminated Blood campaign. Thank you so much for inviting us here today, Glenn.
Thanks for coming.
How were you forced to found it?
I basically got involved in campaigning because I became aware that I was infected with hepatitis C. I'm a haemophiliac, and I'm given blood products to help my blood clot. However, I had a tooth extracted in 1983.
It is difficult to imagine the feelings of unfairness that people must feel at being infected with something like hepatitis C or HIV as a result of a totally unrelated treatment.
I went into hospital, had the tooth removed, was given factor VIII concentrate, had no idea I was even given a blood product, given no warning, certainly no warning that it was ever infected, and didn't find out about it until 1995, some years later.
I know that many members on all sides of this House have raised the question of infected blood. I've spoken about how constituents have been to my surgeries.
During the protest, we learnt that David Cameron was in town, and as he failed to show up at his constituency office, we decided to go and pay him a little visit at his home, a 15-minute drive away. Here's what happened.
We're just outside Prime Minister David Cameron's house because members of the same group that Glenn's involved with are desperate actually to have a meeting with David Cameron, aren't you?
Absolutely.
And that's not forthcoming, is it?
No. One of our members of our team, he is a constituent of David Cameron, and he did try to arrange a meeting with him, and he flatly refused.
I've spoken about how constituents have been to my surgeries. I commit that if I'm Prime Minister in May, we will respond to the findings of this report as a matter of priority.
So we've been into Witney today to try and speak with him at his constituency office. He's having none of it. So it looks like we have to go to these lengths.
If you had an opportunity to have him here right this minute, what would be like the first thing you'd want to say to him?
I think I'd say to him, stop messing about. We have waited for decades now. People are dying in their droves, and we just need it sorting out. We don't want to wait any longer. We don't have the time to wait. Please, just sort it out so that we can get on with our lives. That's what I like to say.
Anyway, it's David Cameron's door. We can't see him, so we thought we might as well go and knock and see if he's there. Actually, should we do that? Come on then, let's do it, Glenn. Necessarily know that the Prime Minister of England lived in this house, would you really?
You'd never know it by looking at it, would you? No, the door's a bit messy.
It is a little bit, it really is a little bit. I'm surprised that the security haven't come out yet.
It appears that even when you do go to these lengths, you still got to get an answer.
That's yeah, then you're which
a bit worried if you see a red dot on your chest.
yes. Exactly. I mean, this must be so frustrating for you, Glenn. You know, Glenn has actually travelled from Yorkshire to Oxfordshire. So important is this because, you know, it's quite literally a matter of life and death to you, isn't
Absolutely, and people have travelled from a lot further. People have travelled from Scotland today to try and get some answers. Blanks every time, and it really isn't acceptable.
No.
As I said, this has been going on for decades, and this is typical of the sort of answer we get from government, from the Department of Health. We just draw a blank every time.
Right.
People are dying, people are suffering, and there shouldn't have to go through this.
No, we certainly shouldn't. And there is a gentleman here that I could ask a question of. Are you disappearing? Well, look at that. Look at that. Would you just like to briefly explain what you've got there?
There's several pieces of information. This is quite an important one. This is our document that we've dedicated to a very good friend of mine and a fellow campaigner, Oliver Carruthers. Ollie died on the 28th of August 2012 of a complication of hepatitis C. And he's never had justice, and he never will now. Whatever happens, this man will not have justice. The best that can be done for Ollie is to do something for his family. And we've got several other pieces there, including a list of extracts taken from the Archer inquiry, which lists some of the specific points that Lord Archer raised in his document, which shows that the government did know that these blood products were infected and continued to give them to people anyway, and the fact that they're used as guinea pigs. This is not acceptable in any society, let alone a Western society. This is the sort of action that you would expect from a third-rate tin pot dictatorship, not a British government. It's absolutely shameful that we have to go to these lengths to get our message across. I just hope that David Cameron listens to what we're telling him for once and for all.
Alright, do you want to put them through the letterbox? Because nobody can say we haven't actually delivered them to him, can't get them. Right, then we should go. Let's go through the 5 then. I doubt they'll take them, but Sonia Poulton, I'm a journalist and broadcaster. I'm here with this gentleman Glenn Wilkinson, we are very desperate. We are very desperate just to pop these through a letterbox for David Cameron. It's about basically people who are dying from contaminated blood. We've been at the constituency office today and we just want literally to pop them through a letterbox.
Best thing to do is to address them to Downing Street.
We have done that thousands of times.
2,000 people
the
are
message
dead.
just isn't getting through. 5,000 people are infected with contaminated blood products and people are dying in their droves. There's only a few of us left now and we just want some answers. We're facing a blank. Every time we try and contact the NHS, the Department of Health, various ministers, nobody's listening to us. And we've had to go to these lengths now to try and get the message hopefully through to David Cameron. Just hope that he listens. I'd just like to have some paperwork.
Right. I hope you can appreciate our position, sir. We're not a postal service. The best thing I can advise you to do is put them in the post to Downing Street. And I can't help you any further today, I'm afraid.
The thing is, of course you're not a postal service and we're not asking you to deliver them. We want to pop them through a letterbox. That's all we want to do. Is that not allowed? Are we not allowed to do that?
You won't be able to do that here, I'm afraid. The best thing for you to do, as I've just stated, is to put them in the post.
It's an official office that will take care of all of that.
Unfortunately not. There's 2,000 people dead waiting for an official office to take care of that.
Right, well, all I can say is in our position here, we can't authorise you posting that at this address. Okay. All I'm saying is there is an official office that will take care of any post for the Prime Minister. So all I'm saying is I would suggest you take that, post it to the Prime Minister through the normal channels.
What do you do when you've done that? When you've done that?
No, I'm not going to be interviewed by you. I'm telling you how to deal with that
how to deal with it.
I see.
And that's what you have to do.
We have done that thousands of times.
2,000 people
the
are
message
dead.
just isn't getting through.
Right, let's go, Glenn.
Thank you.
Read these papers regardless of whether they take them or not. I'm sick of all this official office nonsense. And so we're going to wedge this in David Cameron's door and hopefully it'll give him plenty of things to read this weekend, you know, while he's hunting and shooting, eh?
Yep.
Pleasure, my absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. You do take good care of yourself and we will help you not to do.
I know that many members on all sides of this House have raised the question of infected blood. I've spoken about how constituents have been to my surgeries.
Labour government, we've had a Conservative government, we've had a coalition government, now we've got another Conservative government. They're all as bad as each other. I'd love to sit in front of David Cameron and say, why won't you do this? What is the reason you will not do this? Because it's not financial. So what is it? Is it just because you're a nasty piece of work? Well, economically, it wouldn't really. I mean, we're a country. I can't remember what our GDP is now, but I worked out if the government put this right, it's equivalent to the average earner in this country. The average person in this country earns £26,000 a year. To put this right is equivalent to them giving £10 away. That's what it is. That's the percentage of GDP that we would have to spend. It's tiny.
I don't want to go away and I do. I don't want to go away and there's something that we've forgotten to say. You know what I mean? Or something you want to say.
There probably will be, because there always is, but the simple fact is the government poisoned us and now they refuse to atone for their sins. It's not hard.
No. Well, talking of that, right, is what we should say. Where do you think it should go now?
What we get now has to be a proper, full and final settlement.